Horses have been my life, and horses have made me who I am. They've taught me confidence, they've taught me strength, they've taught me determination. They have helped me with my coordination and my physical abilities. They've helped me learn how to multitask. They've also helped me provide a living for my family. In my line of work, sometimes you come across stories that are not so pleasant, and one of the stories that really hit home with me was a story of Pegasus, a horse that we saved from the slaughter truck. He was down in the truck, and the guy that was driving the truck decided that he was going to stop at a livestock auction that we were at and unload his truck to try to get the horse up. When he did that, we saw him get out of the truck with a cattle prod and go over to the side of the trailer and repeatedly shock something. So we decided to investigate by going around to the other side of the trailer and looking in to see what was happening. What we saw was a horse down in the trailer, covered in sweat, with a million hooves like all around his head. It was really a pitiful sight. The guy then decided to unload the horses, and whenever he unloaded the horses, we were able to talk to him. We went up to him and asked him if he needed help unloading the horse, and he did let us help him. So we took some straps into the trailer and tried lifting a horse that literally had no more fight left in him, and we were unsuccessful getting him up. And the solution the guy had was to load these 40-something horses back up on the trailer and allow them to ride on top of this horse all the way to their destination, which was probably Mexico. We went to him and told him that we would purchase the horse off him if he would help us get him off the trailer. And he agreed to it because he could obviously tell that the horse was not going to make it. We were able to get the horse off the trailer, and we did talk the guy into backing up to a pile of sawdust, and that way the horse wouldn't fall as far out of the livestock trailer. The horse was pulled off the trailer and gave us all of 5 breaths and then passed away peacefully outside of this hot, sweaty, stinky horse trailer. He wasn't some nag that somebody would just throw away. He wasn't something that wasn't useful anymore. He wasn't something that was skin and bones. He was sucked up in his flank from being severely dehydrated, but this horse had a brand on his hip, and he had freshly trimmed hooves and looked like a beautiful quarter horse specimen that was probably somebody's working cow horse at some time. He wasn't old, he was only 15 years old. And the thought that ran through my head was, if something like this can end up in the slaughter pipeline, what's the hopes for the other horses in this world? If something like this can be thrown away like that, it's heartbreaking. There's no other way to describe it, and that's what's given me the motivation to do what I do and to help the horses that I help. That's what makes me who I am when I'm with the horses, because I think they all deserve a second chance. They all deserve to have a new story. So the turning point in my career was when I got accepted to be a part of the Rally for the Rescues. The Rally for the Rescues was a trainer competition that used rescue horses instead of high quality animals. I was thrilled when I got accepted to be a part of it, and was so excited when my horse came to me. And I had never worked with a horse that was as untrained as this horse was. He had never been handled. The halter that they had on him was put on him using a chute, so he had not really ever been touched. And I had 90 days to turn this horse into something that I could take to a competition. The first 3 days we spent in the round pen. He never left the round pen because I was afraid if he left it I wouldn't be able to catch him again. So the first 4 hours was spent me trying to get close enough to him to remove the halter. And then we started working on our join up. I was able to go up and pet him on his nose, but I could not get any further than that. So we slowly and steadily worked on gaining our trust and starting to build a relationship and a connection with him. And whenever the 90 days was up, not only were we able to ride in a strange place around people he'd never seen, around horses he'd never seen, and go through obstacles we'd never tried before, but he was also adopted out to a home with beginner horse people. So he was safe enough for them to trust and learn with. And we didn't win the competition, but that didn't matter because my goal was to help him find a good home, and I accomplished that. Always consult your vet. And after you consult your vet, learn from your vet. Don't just let your vet come and examine your animals and be in the background and not paying attention. Ask questions, be present. Also, always keep a first aid kit on you. Make a connection with your horse and learn how to read your horse. 80% of horse training is learning how to read your horse and being able to predict what your horse is going to do before they do it. We as horse trainers have learned how to read every muscle flinch, every ear twitch, and every shift of a hoof. That way we are able to manipulate the horse before it is needed. Use your Jedi Knight tricks. I tell all my lesson students to do this because if you visualize what you want your horse to do, usually your body will subconsciously do what's needed to communicate that with the horse. The connection that you make with your horse is a huge deal, and that subconscious visualization that you're doing is a part of that connection. So I always think and try to see what I want my horse to look like. Remember, horses are living, breathing creatures, that they have mood swings and that they have good and bad days just like people do. Also, horses mature just like a human does. They aren't born ready to perform. You can't expect a 2-year-old to do the same thing that a 20-year-old can do because they're mentally not there yet. I wish there was a magic wand, but there's not. Can I tell you that there's a gear to help with one thing and there's a piece of material that can help with another? Maybe, but the best tool that you have is your character. Being determined and patient and kind to your horse is going to take you a lot further than a rope or a stick will. Do as much research as you can before you own a horse or before you go buy a new horse. Get vet evaluations and training evaluations done on these horses so that you know what you're dealing with before you get it. Also, make sure that you are prepared for what you are getting. So I know I shared a sad story, and I always want to flip that and share a happy story too. So I'm going to tell Admiral's story. And Admiral was a horse that we rescued from auction. And I always get there like hours before the auction, so that way I can evaluate the horses and kind of know what we're seeing whenever they come through the sale ring. And when I was walking in the back, which is a really dirty, dingy, dark place, not hopeful at all, I came across this really tall, lanky, skinny horse. And when I went into the pen, you know, you always expect these really sad, hopeless expressions on these horses, but he just had so much life and energy in his eyes, and his coat was so shiny, and his mane and tail was groomed so nicely that you could hardly even think about the skin and bones that he actually was. This is a horse that I could have taken my fingers probably 2 or 3 inches deep into his rib cage. He was so malnourished. But he didn't let that get to him. He still was lovable and trusting and caring. So I knew we had to get him, and we did. We rescued him from the auction, and then the next morning when we were loading up horses, we found out that not only was he lovable, but he also had a sense of humor. While we were moving horses from cut gate to cut gate, he decided that he would take his nose over top of the pen and play with the cut gate, try to help us out on moving the horses around. So, and that wasn't the end of his story, which is the great thing, because we got him home and we did rehab on him. He gained weight, and we gave him a bath, and when we gave him a bath, he'd play in the water in the hose, and then he found the perfect adopter. And we thought he was a thoroughbred at first because he was so skinny and tall and lanky, and he didn't have the muscle mass to move to do a trot or a gait. But after he gained weight and I did a training evaluation, it actually turned out that he was a Tennessee walking horse. So that was a little bit of a surprise for everybody. But his adopter fell in love with him the second she saw him, and she decided that she was going to immediately take him home and get him the love and the care that he needed to come back to life. And he actually is in much better shape now. She's taken him on trail rides. She's made a Facebook page so you can follow Admiral's story. And he is a very happy and loving horse for a beautiful family. As a horse trainer, most people think that it's my job to teach the horses something, but it's also my job to learn from the horses. And the way horses teach you is through their stories. And what horse has a better story than a shelter horse? The issue with learning a shelter horse's story is there's usually not anyone to tell you that. They have these secrets that are hidden deep down inside of them, and my job is finding those secrets and creating a new story for these horses.